This is a blob. About a blob! And just as quickly as it began, it was over. Sony has decided to keep the PS3 and Vita E stores open, and my master plan of cornering the market on PSN exclusive game reviews has gone right down the tubes. But in all seriousness, we can take comfort in the fact that all those awesome titles will remain available, at least for the foreseeable future. And maybe, just maybe, Sony will address the CMOS battery issue looming for the PS4 and similar consoles. For now, though, let's continue our talk about master plans and evil villains, since our review today slots in nicely with them. This is Tales from Space, about a blob! A clever puzzle platformer from Drinkbox Studios, the Toronto-based developer also responsible for the fantastic Guacamelee series. Boy, they do have a knack for fun, stylish 2D platformers. Now, you may have seen its sequel, Mutant Blob's Attack, floating around various platforms, but this, the original, is exclusive to the PSN PlayStation 3. About a Blob is a two-dimensional puzzle platformer made in the aesthetic of a retro 1950s giant monster movie. You can run and jump like in standard platformers, but Blob adds the clever ability to absorb items and grow larger. You know, like any good and proper blob should. Meeting your target growth allows you to absorb larger items, opening up more of the level, as well as allowing for longer jumps to previously inaccessible items. It's a clever mechanic that adds a breath of novelty to the puzzle platformer genre. Just when you thought game mechanics were getting stale, something like Blob comes along to shake things up. Absorbing items not only grows you, but you can spit those items back out at enemies. You might face a few defensive emplacements at first, but soon you'll come across helicopters, tanks, and the occasional boss fight. Thankfully, the items you spit out are essentially tethered to you, so you'll always be able to reabsorb them with the push of a button. And, like the Blob itself, you can use the weight of these items to activate a few puzzle elements. That's not all, though. The Blob has a few more tricks up its, sleeve? Progressing through the game gives you further access to magnetism, allowing you to cling to or repel from metal objects. This adds an entirely new element of platforming to the game, and you'll soon be pushing from and pulling to all manner of impossible angles. This is where the platforming really becomes a bit mind-bending, especially when you use that magnetism to influence the environment itself, rather than just your connection to it. Finally, electricity is introduced in late stage, allowing you to power up and manipulate puzzle elements, but this ability is much simpler and is used more sparingly. The magnetism truly revolutionizes the gameplay and the difficulty once it's introduced. Schrodinger's cat, dead or alive? Look, we just need to know which of the two states he's in. It's clear the developers had some fun with this one. The 1950s monster movie theme works great here. Sort of reminds me of Genndy Tartakovsky in old school Cartoon Network. You know, back when it was actually, well. The growth in scale of the Blob is played into storytelling as well. You spend quite a few stages working through laboratories and white picket fenced backyards, but soon you'll be growing from specimen to giant atomic city gobbling blob in the space of a stage or two. Kudos to the level designers for somehow designing stages that grow in scale as well as complexity, yet keeping the entire thing from ever feeling unnatural or contrived. If there is a complaint with this game, it would probably be the length. The game is just over about 20 levels long, and strangely the final third of the game ditches most puzzle solving and focuses on combat in a mad dash to the final boss. This isn't unheard of during the era though. PSN or Xbox 360 arcade titles usually had the defects of their virtues at the time. These were smaller downloads, which obviously usually entailed a smaller game. The good news here though is that each level has several score targets to reach, and mastering them all will take some time. Time goals, coin collection, hidden blob friends, all combined with the ability to play the entire game with a co-op buddy, help this game make the most of its content. Now, for what it's worth, that co-op actually seems more of a hindrance than help. I mean, some of these puzzles barely accommodate one player's timing. Having a second player actually makes things more difficult in some cases, but you're guaranteed to have a barrel of laughs, fumbling and falling all over each other, and having a buddy does make some collectibles much easier to reach. The best endorsement you can give a game is that it's fun. It puts a smile on your face. And Drinkbox Studios has proven they are great at doing just that. Tales from Space, about a blob, may not reinvent puzzle platforming, but it does add a creative new mechanic, and it has loads of character. This was from an era when I would look forward to each summer to see what new Xbox Live Arcade or PSN games would become available. When download sizes were limited, developers found some really creative ways to release fantastic games. I found it to be a great time in video gaming personally. Major releases were all on disc, and they came ready to go right out of the box without needing gigabytes of patches, while smaller digital releases kept you looking forward to see what new and creative games would keep you occupied in the meantime. Because they were smaller, they usually jam-packed as much fun as they could into the package, and the low price meant you never really got burned on a dud the same way you would with a major $60 release. About a Blob is a great example of this ethos, and while it may not take you forever to finish, the addictive quality of trying to meet each and every target throughout the stage will give you your money's worth. If you ever wanted to absorb the planet in style, you couldn't go wrong with Blob. As before, as always, thank you so much for watching. Please would you be my next subscriber? Feel free to leave comments. And as always, be sure to keep going. You are worth it.